third-party cookies and what are the steps that they have taken in the past 2 years and how they manage the future and so on. Now we are in the last session of the morning. Let's quickly move forward to a topic on scaling digital subscription. What's next for reader revenue in India? I hope you all feel that the topic itself looks very interesting. We all have seen digital subscription, digital transformation, and data, etc. Now, how to scale up your subscription now? So, how to increase your reader revenue? That's the next topic. It's a panel discussion. In this panel, editorial leaders from the Indian Express, Hindustan Times, Mathrubhumi are joining us with us. They all will share their perspective on the current and future state of the reader revenue in their respective region. And you will also get a chance to learn about how these organizations are using the data-informed approach to evolve their business and better serve each and every reader. For this, now I would like to invite Abhishek Marla, Customer Success Manager at Chartbeat, to introduce all the panelists and start the discussion. And a quick intro about Abhishek and Chartbeat. It's sponsored by the Chartbeat. Abhishek is a Customer Success Manager for Chartbeat based in Singapore. He works very closely with journalists and newsrooms across Asia to help them leverage data to build loyal users and drive higher engagement. Shortbeat is the world's largest content intelligence platform for publishers. It empowers media companies to build loyal audiences with real-time and historical editorial analytics across desktop, social, and all other platforms. Shortbeat also helps digital publishing organizations and keep people engaged. It also partnered with over 60,000 media brands across more than 60 countries. Welcome, Abhishek, to our conference. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind intro, Vijay Lakshmi. I really appreciate it. And I'm very humbled to be here. And again, thank you, panelists, for actually joining this session. Okay, so what I'm going to do, guys, because I know that we actually have a very short session, so I want to be efficient here. And like without anything else, I'll just go introduce our panel. I would first like to start with Prasad Sanyal. He is currently the Chief Content Officer of Hindustan Times. He overlooks all the digital properties of HT and is instrumental in the digital transformation for Hindustan Times. So like something about Prasad is that you always end up learning something when you talk to Prasad, and he's often open to discuss like your technology, cricket, and news. Okay, so our second panelist is Mayura MS. She is a director of, yes, she's the director of digital business for Mathrubhumi Publishing. I mean, of course, you all know, but Mathrubhumi is actually one of the most prominent Malayalam newspapers, and also Mayura is instrumental in like bringing this. Yeah, so Mayura is instrumental in actually bringing the digital transformation into the organization. It is, of course, very inspiring to. Mayura is actually extremely inspiring, and at like a very young age, she has been able to like lead a very big team. And she also loves her dogs very much. Now, finally, the third person I'd like to introduce is Nandu. He is the editor of like a new media at the Indian Express. He joined Indian Express at he actually rejoined Indian Express in the year 2013 and has helped like bring synergy with their print and online business. He has evolved new storytelling methods and launched like several new websites in local languages, such as Malayalam, Tamil, and Bengali. And of course, Nandu also loves technology. In fact, we were actually talking about his podcast right now. And he also has a lot of insights to share about how editors should actually leverage data to make decisions. So yeah, so this is the panelist for today. Now, I think before I start, I think we've already spoken about reader revenue, but like today's like conversation is going to be more around subscriptions. And I think what I'm going to do first is I'm probably going to ask Prasad. I mean, I do understand that your organization at like very different points has like moved into subscription. So then maybe can you like give me a quick overview of your current subscription strategy?
Thank you, Abhishek, and hi everyone. You know, Hindustan Times is a 100-year-old organization which is moved into subscription last year. And we are very bullish on our subscription strategy. I think that is the way to go. Clearly, organizationally, we understand that. And we are building out subscription products very aggressively. Our flagship business newspaper, Mint, and its digital version is already behind a paywall. And we continue to invest in a great amount of data sciences and audience understanding to make our subscription offerings sharper and reach the right consumer. We're also building out subscription products on Hindustan Times, which is our flagship English language daily plus our website, and Hindustan, which is our flagship Hindi product. So basically, all our products have a subscription component attached to them.
Okay, cool. So Nandu, maybe you can actually shed some light on your strategy.
Yeah, so we have had a subscription strategy for close to 2 years now, and it has been focused primarily on our e-paper strategy. And we are now moving to the next step, and hopefully in a few months, we will have more announcements to make in this space. And I think our subscription strategy will not be limited to English because we are also we also have 5 other languages where we can offer subscriptions, because we think we have the content that fits into that perspective, because Express has always invested in good quality content, and I personally believe that only good quality content can convert subscriptions. And since we have that, but just a question of time when we do what. I am, as Prasad said, very bullish about subscription, and I am also bullish about subscription in regional languages. Maybe it's not the scale of what a Hindi or an English can achieve, but I think we need to really look at subscription in regional languages too, because I think the affinity to news is more in a regional language like Malayalam, where news is more of a necessity than it would I have seen in many other parts of the country. I think Bangla and Malayalam, for instance, the user affinity to news is much more than in a Hindi or other languages.
Mayura, would you like to step in? Because I know you have a lot to say when it comes to this.
Firstly, thank you for making me a part of this panel, and I completely agree with Mr. Nandu here, because, for us, for instance, for Malayalam, I think, as he said, there's a culture of not knowing and being updated at all times. So I think if we give credible content and good content, I think that people will definitely want to subscribe to you. Firstly, we, as just like Indian Express, our subscription model only goes with our e-paper and not with our website yet. And we also soon are looking at getting into a premium model in no time. Hopefully, probably by this maybe the start of next year. But yeah, we're looking at that as well. But I also believe that only with good content can you ever convince anybody to get on your platform. While saying that, also credible content, because of the amount of fake news that's happening in the industry, like all over, especially in social media. I think by the end of the day, it's our responsibility to make sure there's good journalism out there. And I think readers would like that as well. So yeah, good content, and I think we can nail subscription.
So something very interesting and also very different happened last year, right? I mean, of course, with the pandemic and how we all had to just how we all had to pretty much just rethink our strategies. So say with the pandemic happening now, and how have you actually thought about how subscriptions are changing, or what are those metrics that you're focusing on now to actually help enhance your subscription strategy? Maybe Prasad, we could start with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, see, I think our subscription strategy actually in Hindustan Times predates the pandemic. Mint actually went behind a paywall maybe a couple of months before the pandemic started. That said, the pandemic has accelerated our focus on subscription. The pandemic has also accelerated, I think, the audience's, appetite for digital consumption. What it has done globally is during the pandemic, people have consumed more digital content, and therefore I think the market is more ready today, or has become more accepting of the fact that you need to pay for good content, and are willing to pay for the right content which adds value to their lives.
So Nandu, what do you think? I think you're on mute. You seem to be on mute.
Yeah, so I think all of us have millions and millions of readers, but how many subscribers do we have there is the challenge, right? And that is the filtering that we all are looking at. And can we find and reach them? Can we talk to them? Can we convert them? I think that is the strategy everybody is looking at. There are many metrics out there to figure that out. I think, and I think that metrics has to be specific to the publisher, right? Because you know your audience better. You maybe do some things better. Maybe time spent is a better metrics for a website that does a lot of long form than something else. So you need to fine tune that metrics. And I sort of don't actually don't agree with a lot of the global metrics that float out there. So yeah, but I think everybody has to figure out the metrics and then doggedly pursue it. Yeah.
So Mayura, I think for you, right? Like, because because you guys are actually like a big Malayalam like a newspaper. Okay, so then how does that change for you? Or like, like how is this different? Okay, say from a national paper.
See, first of all, I think it's the demographics itself that, this thing. For example, when you look at loyalty here, there's a certain amount of loyalty also towards news that you're giving. So for us, our metrics would actually kind of probably lay there, or maybe even with engagement and the time spent. Of course, that's the overall thing. But I also think that here a lot of organizations have had a lot of internal change during the pandemic. For example, when you're especially from a legacy organization, and there the importance of digital transformation, the importance of digital products, and also the importance of the kind of information we're giving on these products, I think that kind of accelerated with us. And definitely our metrics is, as I said, as I agree with Mr. Prasad and Nandu, that it may vary from organization to organization on what you're looking at. So yeah, but I think that we got a little more focused here, especially making data-driven decisions, etc. So we got a little more focused here with that during the pandemic. It was a great acceleration for us, basically, and also for our readers.
So it's actually interesting that you actually spoke about reader loyalty. Because this was actually like going to be my next question. Like maybe Prasad, you could take this one. Okay, in terms of reader loyalty, like how exactly do you think reader loyalty actually plays a role? Okay, within your subscription strategy in HT, and like how like important is it?
So look, we have you measure your standard metrics of reader loyalty, right? Which is defined as 15 sessions or whatever. Now, I don't think that always is the right way to go. And I know that Nandu agree on that count, because reader loyalty would be very market specific, would be very geo specific. So I would desperately like for more publishers to get together, maybe get an India specific benchmark there, which we can all look at, right? But that said, look, we see that our propensity of our loyal readers to subscribe is far higher than your average, fly-by user. So we track loyal users and their consumption habits separately. We're able to, in some form, go after them, target them, and try and get them to subscribe to our products. And as more and more digital products from the HT Media go behind the paywall, you will see some announcements and some clearly quite innovative stuff happening when it comes to attracting the loyal reader to subscribe to our products.
So Nandu, what about you? I know that like to a large extent you do agree with Prasad, okay, when it comes to like your different loyalty metrics, okay, say for like India. But then like what is your perspective on this? And again, I'd also be curious to know, is there something that you're thinking of, okay, which should actually be defined? What do you think?
Yeah, so for instance, this 15 visits a month is what Google says is your brand lover, right? For me, that's a very high number for a market like India, where accessing anything 15 times a month is very difficult. And then you are not in a New York Times kind of an environment where people have left the printed paper and have replicated that behavior online. India is still not that. India is a market where I am from Kerala, where I know the English paper is always a second paper, right? So look at it the same way. The digital is always maybe a second or a third thing. that you will do. It is all, there is always going to be a print product, at least for the conceivable future. And this is going to add on. So if print is your morning read, digital is your rest of the day read. That is the way I would look at it. That would not trigger a 15 visits a month, according to me, right? Now, if you look at loyalty in a different way, right? Like, as I said, I'm from Kerala. I am loyal to a particular newspaper because for generations, my family has read the same newspaper, right? And if a subscription opportunity presents itself in front of me, I'll buy it without batting an eyelid. I might not go back. I might buy it just to read that one story. The loyalty is out there. So with Hindustan Times, Express, and lot of the Indian publishers, the legacy publishers out there for a long time, triggering loyalty might be something that's dormant out there. And then when they think it's a time to subscribe, they might just subscribe. It might not need the 15 visits for so many months, to actually convert. That is my feeling. Now the other thing is, even these 15 visits does not ensure conversion. Because as I studied economics. In economics, you say ability and willingness, right? So you might be coming 15 times, but you might not be willing to pay. And there might be a lot of people who come 5 times a day are much more keen to pay. But the problem is, because this metrics is being set globally, we might end up looking only at these brand lovers or these brand lovers more seriously. I think this middle of the pyramid, or the loyal readers who could be 5 to 10 pages a month, might be where an Indian publisher might find more easy pickings actually.
So Mayura, I mean, how does this apply to you, or say, like, for your I mean, like, how does this apply to Mathrubhumi? Okay,
I
would this be
think
the same, or yeah.
Yeah, I think he
Sorry,
pretty
go on.
much answered my question there, because loyalty also does really, really depend on, here at least, on the brand that you're associated with as well. It's not just, visits and things like that. I think the brand has a major role to play. We also have we have 2 legacy newspapers here, which has been running for a very long time, and that's always a first read, either one of them. And I mean, here, like as he said, it's a newspaper and digital which go hand in hand here. There's not like a digital first sort of approach here. So I think I have to completely agree to what Mr. Nandu has said for that. Yeah.
So say I take a step back here. I mean, like, and if we move from loyalty for a second and actually come back to content, how has the data you've collected so far changed the way you think about content? And also, are there any topics that surprised you in their ability to drive conversions? So Prasad, like, maybe again, you can probably shed a light on this.
So I think over the last 1 year, the HT newsroom has become much more data driven. We're looking at consumption patterns very, very closely. No major surprises there, right? But one thing is for sure that, the typical sort of ABCD formula, like astrology, Bollywood, cricket, and devotion, it doesn't work when it comes to subscription. You have to clearly work with your strengths, and each brand is known for its strength. And I think subscribers are willing to pay for those buckets of content that your brand is known for.
So Nandu, what do you think? I mean, like, what's your perspective on this?
Yeah, so I've been taking data-driven approach to to even my new strategies for quite a few years now, and I have a slightly different approach here. See, traditionally, and I've worked with many people who have this thinking, is that you look at numbers, you look at what content is working, you do more of it. You look at what content is not working, you just kill it, right? Now, the way I look at it, you look at I look at our users, right? And then look at what could they be looking for, right? See, often what happens is that in a huge site like an Indian Express, you have a lot of users and you have a lot of content, but there is a disconnect. See, we are doing 350 to 400 stories a day, right? Catering to about 3 to 4 million visitors a day. Now, how does this, so often a lot of people are coming, they don't get the content they want, because see, our tech is still not, it is not, we are not New York Times, right? We don't have that kind of technology which really, takes the content to a pinpoints it to the user. Hey, I know this is what you're looking for, right? and until we are in that position, I think we will have to do it the hard way to really, say that, boss, how, you hold his hand, come, I'll show you what you're looking for, right? We have to do that in a very, very old fashioned kind of way. So, so I've been looking at users and I've been trying to create content or connect the content that is content, that makes sense to them. So it could happen, at an intention level, which is more of a section specific kind of an approach, or a location level where I'm seeing users from one city, but I don't maybe have enough content for it. Then I start creating content for that city. So which has been my approach for quite some time.
So maybe Mayura, you could probably answer this. And I know that subscriptions is something that you guys are also looking at heavily. Are there any specific topics, that have surprised you to actually drive conversions?
I'm going to just get it out there. I think crime is area where I didn't expect such. I mean, of course, crime always has a certain amount of traffic, but maybe using that to kind of get conversions. And like, especially when you look at like even our image and Mathrubhumi and stuff like that, crime is not something that stands up front. It's probably latest news, politics, things like that. But one of the sections that kind of shocked me, which brings most of our readers in, is crime. So yeah. So that was something that kind of surprised me in a digital space. See, crime has its appeal everywhere. I'm not saying that it's that much of a shocker. I'm saying that kind of, engagement there, that was kind of something that, in a place like Kerala.
So, like,
just to add on to what Nandu was saying, I think with HT, our initial experience with personalization and our initial experiments with personalization have been fairly positive. And as we sort of continue to look at that space, we are increasingly looking at giving each user what she wants, because clearly that's the problem that we are trying to all solve, which is a lot of content and a lot of users, but is the content relevant for a particular user?
Okay, so like, so maybe quickly, right? Because I know we only have 3 minutes, and then we do have 2 questions. So in your opinion, and I think like each of you can probably just take some time to answer this. Okay, what are the unique challenges like you think Indian publishers are actually going to face like next year, or say this year? Okay, because we're we're already in 2021. So maybe Nandu, we could probably start with you on this.
Okay, I'll need a lot of time to to list the challenges. Yeah, but the challenges is actually the opportunity that I spoke about in the last question, is how do we connect, right? And we are challenged in all those spheres. We are challenged in getting the right data. We are also challenged in getting the right inferences from the data. Now, I've studied statistics, so the problem with data is that everybody looks at it in a different way, right? What is my inference is different from another person's inference, but then you need an institutional approach to this inference, which is very difficult to come to. Now, what is your tech solution to this challenge? So I think all of these are challenges right now, because we are, see, any company, I write on technology. I know any company you talk to, be it Noida, be it San Francisco, they will say AI ML, right? It is the most abused word in the world, and I have this saying that artificial intelligence comes into play when human intelligence is going out of the room. So whenever they have no clue, they say, hey, ML will do it. But it is not possible, right? You have to train the models. If there is not enough intelligence in the room, you cannot train your AI ML. So there is a problem, across, I'm not just talking about news publishers, but across everywhere, there's too much data out there, and there's too much to be done based on that data. And you really don't have people who have the skill sets to train the machines needed. So I think it's a huge challenge. Baby steps are being taken, or you go for a third party which already has a solution, but then there are data privacy issues. You don't know how that data is going to be used. So it's a bit complicated, but that is the challenge, I think, which will keep a lot of our us awake at night.
Maybe Mayura, you can probably shed some light on this. Like,
Yeah, I completely agree with him. Being self-sufficient with tech, knowing enough people to kind of, even groom and like, your team or whatever with that technology that's required. I think that self-sufficiency is something that is extremely important, at the same time, very, very challenging. And also getting like, the correct content out there, making sure that you're credible at all times, because people do look at you for credibility, right? So making sure that, and there's copyrights and there's people lifting your content. There are many challenges, but I think the first thing that I would say is, how do you connect the tech, how do you connect the data, and how do you get the good stories out there to the people that want those stories, basically.
so if I had to summarize, and like, so then I hear personalization, I hear like tech, I mean, I hear data, and of course Nandu already said AI ML, but then like ultimately it is about driving like content in the right way, using data to be able to also build more loyal audiences, to have like better conversions. So maybe Prasad, like are there things that you'd like to add to this in
No, I
terms
mean,
of challenges?
look, the biggest opportunity or challenge, however we want to put it, is getting the right stories to the right reader in a format she consumes and is ultimately willing to pay for. Now, that's like Nandu said, there is a issue with our tech capabilities, and that each newsroom is upgrading its tech capabilities as fast as they possibly can, perhaps. The other thing is with third-party tools where issues of data privacy come in, and you have to protect your data and you have to protect your users from their data being abused. So those issues are there, and of course, in the digital space, it's like Mayura put it, it's very easy to sort of repurpose and lift content, and that's something that publishers will have to sort of evolve a policy around how that needs to be moderated.
Okay, cool. So we actually have a couple of questions here, and I think we can probably start with the first one. So the first question is, what's your take on adding micropayments along with subscriptions, like catering to large segment of readers? So then anyone can take this. I mean, like whoever thinks.
Personally, I think
So
micropayments as a model is evolving, and I'm watching that space. I don't think there are enough successful micropayment models for us to go whole hog towards micropayments. But yes, it's an evolving space, especially in India.
Yeah, so Nandu, I think you had something that you wanted
yeah, no, I think in a market like India, where we still sell shampoos in sachets, I think micropayments has to be an option, and it's important for micropayments to be there to start building an appetite for larger payments, right? Like because if you think you have an affinity for, let's say, Mathrubhumi's content, and you have paid 5 or 10 rupees 5 times a month to read something there, then maybe next month you're thinking, should I go for micropayments, or maybe should I just get a subscription, right? So I think it might actually be a catalyst. It might actually get more and more people to sample stuff and to move on. And if you look at Spotify, you look at Netflix, all of them have done it in different ways.
So Mayura, is there anything that you'd like to add to this?
No, it's fine. We can move on to the next.
Okay, so the next question that we have is, and this is actually to Prasad, is the pandemic, like has the pandemic created any chances for existing online readers to convert to physical newspapers? This is by like Subramaniam, like Ramesh Kumar.
So if I got the question right, it's basically if online readers have converted to reading newspapers.
Yes.
Well, look, we've seen a lot of readers convert to reading e-papers, and perhaps that was when the newspaper distribution was challenged. But a typical online reader, whether they're converted to acquiring a physical product, is something that I haven't at least seen happen.
So we actually have one more very interesting question. Like you're talking about e-papers. Will e-paper do better, or the website have to be the front runner? Looking at other countries where website is the core focus. So maybe Mayura, you could take this one.
Should I? I definitely think that websites will take the forefront more than e-papers. I mean, that's a definite for me. I mean, especially like when you see people engage, especially in my age group and things like that. The entire convenience of it, I feel, the convenience factor, the readability factor, and I just feel that a website is going to take off. It is actually sometimes more popular than the e-paper, is what I feel. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
Nandu,
not
what
demeaning it.
would you
I
guys
really respect it, and I mean, we have our own, and I do look into it very much. Not that, it's just that I think website creates more opportunity for you.
If I can just chip in, Abhishek, quickly, I know you're out of time, but I think in the e-paper model, you're actually paying for the hierarchy of news. The content is the same. It just gives you better navigation or understanding of how to go about the content, but also the fact that you're also paying for stale news, right? Because if it's an e-paper, it's already a day old.
Already.
So that is also a little bit of a problem for me. So I don't see there's a lot of opportunity in that space, but it is also a pyramid that is tapering down. It's not a growing pyramid, right? Because because I don't see 10 years down my son has no context of a newspaper, right? But he reads tons stuff online. He does not need that hierarchy. He is used to his own hierarchy.
So is it safe to assume that maybe e-paper will actually do pretty well now, but in the future it might slowly start going down, and then websites will
Let's put it this way: it's for older people. It's for older people, right? Like New York Times, print.
It's for Nandu and me on this panel.
Yeah, exactly. And we are the last generation.
Yeah.
I doubt. I mean, we're all very young here, so it's okay. But I mean, I know we're actually kind of out of time, so we do have one more question, but maybe we could take that offline. I apologize because we're actually out of time. I again thank WAN-IFRA for this, and of course thank you panelists for for actually joining this session. And are there any closing thoughts? I mean, before we actually close, each of you want to say, and before we wrap up, maybe Nandu, you could probably start, quickly, 30 seconds.
Please subscribe to our whatever we'll come up with. I think that's all I can say. Everyone, tell everyone. Yeah.
Can I just second Nandu and ask everyone pay for good journalism? I think that's
absolutely.
Yes, I was just going to say that as well. Please pay for good journalism, and let's keep that going on the road.
Okay, great, awesome, cool. Okay, so thank you very much, guys, and this was great. And again, thank you for giving your time, and really appreciate it.
Thank you as well, Abhishek. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, bye. All right, guys. See you, everyone.
Thank you all.